Hey everyone, welcome to part 3 of how to upgrade and modify a budget guitar on a budget. Here's where we stand so far. In part 1, we took a Donner DST-1S, a guitar which you can buy on Amazon.com for about $140, which is at the lower spectrum of budget guitars, price-wise. But a great guitar to mod. Right out of the box, it played great. The neck was straight as a pin. It's got a basswood body, maple neck, ebony fretboard. Fretwork was fantastic on this thing. Great guitar to mod. So in part 1, we took it and stripped it down to its core, sanded, painted the body a gunmetal metallic gray, nice matte finish. In part 2, we replaced the nut. We took the plastic nut out, replaced it with a Graphtec self-lubricating nut. We replaced the string trees with a Graphtec string tree, just one instead of two. We replaced the cheap tuners with Wilkinson locking tuners. This is a 2-hole system. It's a little harder to change strings than the more expensive locking tuners with the wheel on the bottom. You slide it in, you turn the wheel, it locks. These you string through one hole, wrap it around, put it through the other hole, locked. Good locking tuners for the price. These are about $45, $50. We sanded off the Donner, we painted the headstock to match the body of the guitar. And now we're into part 3 where we're going to get into a little bit of electronic work. We are going to replace pickups. We are going to replace these cheap pickups in this pickguard. We're actually going to replace the pickguard as well. We're going to go black on gray. In the bridge position, we're putting an Allen Entwistle X2, very similar to a Seymour Duncan JB. Very good pickup for hard rock and metal. Entwistle are a custom pickup company out of England. I think their pickups are made by Arctec out of Korea. Very good pickups for the price. It's about a $35, $40 pickup. In the middle and neck position, we're putting Wilkinson high output single coils. Again, very good pickups for the price. These are $50 for a full set. We're going to replace the bridge. This is a Fender Big Block Vintage Bridge. I got this on Amazon for about $37. This is the bridge that came out of this guitar, and you know, on the face of it, they look like the same thing. But, you know, compare the size of the block on the Fender to this one. This weighs nothing, and this is heavy as hell. Big block, good for sustain, good for tone, good for tremolo stability, and that is important. We've got some new volume and tone knobs, little black ones for our black on gray motif. And I think that's it. So the only thing we're leaving here is the electronics. And I've mentioned this before. The problem with budget guitar electronics is not that they don't work. They work just fine. It's that they tend to break easier over time than more expensive electronics. And there is a very slight tonal difference, but you'd have to be a bloody sound engineer to hear it. You know, it's very, very subtle. The pots might get a little scratchy faster than more expensive electronics, but they work, and they work just fine right now. So, you know, the time comes, they get scratchy, I'll replace them. But for now, we're going to keep the electronics. It'll make the whole job of rewiring this guitar a lot easier. And so let's get started. I'm going to go heat up my soldering gun, and let's get started with this into part 3. And in part 4, we'll be done. And we'll have a look at our new creation, and we'll put it head to head with what it was before, and try the new pickups, see how they sound compared to the old pickups. I played a few tunes on it before I tore it apart, and we'll play those same tunes again. And see how they sound, see how it matches up, see how it plays, see how it feels. I think it's going to be a fantastic guitar, and it looks gorgeous. So anyway, let's get started. Alright, so before we get into wiring up pickups, let's put the bridge in. So first I think we're going to put the claw back in the back. And it's easy enough. You get your claw and you get your screws. So the holes are still there. I'm going to get a longer screwdriver. I'm not going to put this all the way in because you want to put the springs on first before you start screwing this all the way back in. What did I do there? There we go. So just get that into where you can't see the screw. I don't know what that's called, but that's good right there. All right. So let's pop this bridge in. Now, I was lucky enough these line up perfectly. So what you want to do when you're putting a tremolo, a 6-point tremolo system like this one in, is get the screws in, because this one needs to float a little bit, right? So you screw down until it starts lifting up, just like that. See it lift up and then back it off a little bit. We'll do the same for all 6. You don't want these tightened right down into the wood. So okay, we're getting close here. Now watch. This is going to lift up a little bit. And back it off a little bit. Because these type of screws, as you can see, they have a little spot of about 1/2 inch on the top where there is no screw, and that's for the trim to go up and down, lever upon on these screws. Raised up, and you back it off a little bit. See the bridge raise up a little bit, and then back it off a touch. Alright, let's pop our springs back in. And like I told you earlier, keep everything separate in little sandwich bags so you know where everything is and where everything goes. Maybe mark it with a Sharpie. And so we're going to put 3 springs on this. This is where you run the risk of spring coming loose and smacking you in the hand. Let's try going this way. No, I think that way's a little more dangerous. Pair of pliers, there we go. There we go, that was easy enough. Now we're going to tighten these in maybe about 1 centimeter or so. Some tension on it. Being careful not to scratch up the surface of your paint job with your screwdriver. We may have a slight problem here. There's not a lot of room with the size of this block. There's not a lot of room in there for the bar to move. I may have to do a little bit of. I don't have a router. I may have to do a little bit of hand chiseling, and it's fine. Just down inside the bridge pocket to give the block somewhere to go. Because as it looks right now, there's not going to be much play back there. And it's not a problem because it's all going to be covered with the plate. But we may have to take a little hand chisel and remove a little wood back here for the block to move, because right now it doesn't look like it's going to have much play. But that's in, at least. And I'm just going to grab a bar and see how that feels. Alright, so I've got a whammy bar here. That's fine. The block doesn't need to move very far. Well, I think that's going to be okay, thankfully. I thought we kind of hit our first, we may have hit our first little snag here, but I want to loosen these up a little bit more. Alright, everything is not okay. We hit our first snag on this project. The block on this fender is so big compared to what was in it that it is resting against the back edge of the bridge pocket. So it can't move. It won't actually go up because it's resting right against the bridge pocket. There's a lip here. And I'm going to have to remove it. And I don't have a router. I'm just going to have to, it's all going to be underneath the bridge. So I'm just going to have to kind of chisel this lip off, I guess. Maybe mark it off with a little pencil or something and just get rid of this lip. Because it is holding our trem up. And our trem won't move because it's pressed right up against the back of the bridge pocket. And I suppose, could I move the bridge up? That might solve our problem. If I move the bridge up just a touch. You know what? I think I might do that. And if that doesn't work, I'll just refill in the holes. But I think that's the easiest solution to try first, is to move the bridge up and not put them in the exact same holes that the old bridge was in, because the whole bridge will slide up just a touch, well, more than a touch, but a half centimeter actually. And I think I'm going to put new holes right down through there, and that frees up you know, that much room in the back for this thing to float up and down, because as it stands now, it's right up against the wood and it's not moving. So that's going to be my first attempt at resolving this problem. Is I'm going to move the whole bridge forward about maybe like a third of a centimeter, and drill new holes. I think that's going to work. So let's do that first, and if that doesn't work, we're going to fill these holes back in and remove some wood from behind the bridge pocket. Alright, first complication. It happens. Alright, so that solution's not going to work either, because I just remembered if I move the bridge pocket forward half a centimeter, then my pickguard's not going to fit. And that ain't going to work. And it also may throw the intonation of this guitar out by moving the bridge forward that much. So that lip's got to come out. I've got to get rid of this lip. And so I'm going to have to figure out a way to do that. And give me a few minutes. I'm going to go and see what I can come up with. Brainstorm a little solution here. But my original idea of moving this bridge forward, that ain't going to work, because my pickguard won't fit in. And it fits in perfectly right there. So, alright, I'm going to go brainstorm this and come up with a solution. But this has got to be cut. Alright, so I've got a little, I don't know what this is called. It's like a small little chisel for doing this kind of work. And we're going to get this lip off of here. And hope we don't screw up our guitar. But we'll take this lip off, and then we'll sand sand it down. This lip is quite large actually. It's our only solution. So we'll take a little bit off and then we'll sand. Sand the rest so we're not causing too much damage to our guitar. This is all going to be underneath the bridge, so that's working. Lip's gotta go. Alright, we're getting somewhere. A little sandpaper now and that should be fine. Pretty much gotten rid of the whole lip. It's alright. Scratch up our finish. Alright, I'm going to take some sandpaper to this now. And smooth it out. And I think that's going to be fine. Alright, I'm going to grab some sandpaper. Alright, let's take a little 60 grip to this first. That's alright, it's working. Got rid of our lip anyway. Let's see how that looks now. Oh yeah, we've got tons of room. Go back more on one side. Right there, I think is. And I don't think you can see any of what I've been doing there. No, you can't see any of it. It's fine. There's no room for this block. There we go. There we go, lots of room back there for that block now. Alright, you can't see any of that. Perfect. Alright, we may just have fixed our first little snag. At least I hope so. Alright, let's put this bridge back in. Alright, let's get this bridge back in. I knew I may have had a problem earlier when I was putting these screws in and I was saying the bridge should lift up, and it did on the first screw and then it didn't do it anymore, and I thought, okay, what the hell's going on here? There it goes up. Now back it off. Well, I was optimistic. No, we're good. We were not good. Let's see if it lifts up this time. There it goes. There it goes. Now we're... What's the saying? Now we're cooking with fire. Screw that in. This bridge should lift up. There we go. Back it off a bit. Just lift it, back it off a bit. It wasn't doing this the first time, and I was starting to get a little worried. There it goes. See, I think we're fine now, and no more worse for wear. Got a couple of little micro scratches on my finish from that little chisel that I was using slipping, but they're barely noticeable. What's a guitar without a couple of dings, huh? There we go. Alright, let's get our springs back in. I put everything away because I was going to stop for the day, but I can't stop, so I gotta go get my stuff. Alright, so I got my springs. Let's back off this claw. Let's get those springs in. This is really where you can smack yourself in the hand if you're not careful. Doing this, pulling on these springs. If you don't back your claw off a little bit and the springs are too tight. Where are we going with this one? There. Alright. Sawdust all over my finish. Let's grab a bar, see if this is working now. Nope, this bar is, I don't think I bent this bar. There we go. Oh, she's going up. She's going up. Problem solved. All right. Problem solved. I actually managed to bend this the first time when I wasn't moving. The bridge wasn't moving at all. All that was happening was I was bending the whammy bar because the bridge had nowhere to go. It was jammed right up against the back of the bridge pocket. And so what I thought was actually working was me bending the bar. And so I've got to fix that. That's a bent bar, a bent whammy bar. All right, so good. Happy about that. I fixed the problem. And now we've got to clean up this guitar. Put a little spit and polish on it because I've got it full of sawdust. All right, on to the electronics.